My name is Marin Calloway, and I am the least important person on this moon. That is not self-pity. That is a fact. I am a human woman standing 5 feet 6 inches tall in a palace built for beings who average 8 feet. I weigh 58 kilograms in a world where the smallest guard weighs twice that. I am 27 years old in an empire where the average lifespan stretches past 600. By every measurement the Valorian sovereignty uses to determine value, I barely register. I am a handmaiden. I brush the princess's crest scales each morning. I lay out her robes. I pour her nectar and stand quietly in corners while important people discuss important things, and nobody in any room I have ever entered has once asked for my opinion. I want you to remember that. It matters later. Princess Yashara Vel Sorath purchased my service contract 3 years ago. She is the third daughter of the sovereign, which sounds grand, until you understand that in Valorian politics, third daughters are decorations. She has no real power. Her elder brother Kael'thar controls the military council. Her elder sister Vithani controls the trade guilds. Yashara collects old paintings and studies dead languages, and keeps a human maid because she once read a paper about Earth and found our species fascinating. She is the only Valorian who has ever asked me my name. I came to the sovereignty when I was 16. My family owed debts back on Earth, the kind that follow you across star systems, and the colonial labor exchange turned those debts into a contract. 11 years I have served in alien households. I have scrubbed floors on space stations, repaired communication relays on cargo haulers, cooked meals I could not eat for species that could not taste them, and smiled through every moment of it, because humans learn early that survival means being useful and invisible. I am very, very good at being invisible. So when Prince Kael'thar invited his sister to his hunting estate on the jungle moon of Keth-Von, nobody asked the human maid what she thought about it. If they had, I would have told them it smelled wrong. Brothers who spend decades ignoring you do not suddenly offer warmth without wanting something in return. I grew up in the dockside sprawl of New Kinshasa. I know what a setup looks like, but nobody asked. We arrived on Keth-Von with the princess's full guard detail. 8 Vael'thori, the elite guard, each one bonded to Yashara by blood oath. Their commander was Korath Dawn, a decorated veteran with bioluminescent war scars running up both arms. He carried a molecular-edged blade and a plasma caster fused into his forearm gauntlet. He had killed hundreds in the sovereignty's border wars. He was 7 feet 11 inches of armored perfection, and in 3 years of service, he had never once looked me in the eye. I noticed things at the estate that the guards did not. The regular staff had been rotated out and replaced by strangers. The comm relay antenna on the north tower was angled inward toward the estate instead of toward the orbital satellite. I recognized the configuration because I had spent 2 years servicing arrays exactly like it on a cargo hauler. That antenna was not designed to send signals out. It was designed to block them, I told Korath. He looked down at me from his full height, and his mandibles twitched in what I had learned to read as contempt. "Tend to your duties, creature," he said. "Security is not your concern." I tried the youngest guard, Selith, who had sometimes shown me small kindnesses. She listened, then she patted my head, the way you would pat a nervous pet, and told me that humans are prone to anxiety because of our short lifespans. "You see death everywhere because it is always close to you," she said gently. She meant it as comfort. It landed like a blade. That night, I stole a ceramic serving knife from the kitchen. I moved my sleeping pallet from the servants' quarters to the narrow maintenance corridor directly outside the princess's chambers. I told the housekeeping steward I preferred the warmth of the ventilation duct. He did not care enough to argue. I slept lightly. Humans are good at sleeping lightly. We evolved on a world that spent 200,000 years trying to kill us in our sleep. I woke to silence. Not natural silence. The hum of the estate's shield generators was gone. The comm relay was dead. That faint electromagnetic whine I had been subconsciously filtering since we arrived had vanished, and its absence hit me like a scream. I learned later what happened to the Vael'thori. A nerve agent, engineered specifically for Valorian biology, was pumped through the barracks ventilation. It targeted the bioluminescent compounds in their blood and caused instant paralysis. 5 of the 8 guards dropped without drawing a weapon. Korath and 2 others had sealed their combat helmets for a late-night sparring session, which saved them from the gas. Korath fought through the barracks corridor and killed 4 assassins in close combat before a directed EMP pulse overloaded his armor and locked him inside it like a tomb. The other 2 guards were cut down by plasma fire in the courtyard. They never reached the princess's wing. 8 elite warriors, the finest the sovereignty had ever produced, exposed, paralyzed, trapped, and killed in under 4 minutes. The nerve agent was Valorian-specific. Every part of this plan was Valorian-specific. The gas, the EMP, the comm blackout. Every weapon, every countermeasure, every calculation was built around Valorian biology, Valorian technology, Valorian psychology. Nobody planned for a human. Nobody thought they needed to. I breathed in the nerve agent. My nose burned. My eyes watered. I sneezed twice. That was it. The gas targeted bioluminescent blood compounds. Humans do not have bioluminescent blood. We have iron-based hemoglobin that turns rust red in the open air, and it has carried oxygen through our veins since before we climbed down from the trees. I heard boots in the corridor. 3 sets, heavy and deliberate, moving in tactical formation toward the princess's door. They were not rushing. Why would they rush? Every guard was down. Every comm channel was dead. The princess was alone, behind a locked door that would take them 3 seconds to override. Except she was not alone. I had 3 heartbeats to think. I had a ceramic knife. I had no armor, no shield generator, no training in Valorian combat forms. The shortest of those assassins would be twice my weight. By every rational calculation, I should have hidden. I should have crawled into the ventilation duct and waited for it to be over. But I kept thinking about the princess calling my name for the first time. The way she said Marin, as though it were a real word, and not just a label on a contract. I kept thinking about the way she asked me once what rain sounded like on Earth, and when I told her, she closed her eyes and smiled, as if she could hear it. She was my friend, the only one I had in 400 light years. The maintenance corridor has a service hatch above the princess's door. I climbed into the ceiling cavity. My frame fit easily. No Valorian could have followed me up there. They are too tall, too broad, too heavy. But I am small, and small is not the same as weak. The first assassin overrode the lock and pushed the door open. I dropped onto his back from above. I drove the ceramic blade into the gap between his neck and his shoulder armor. I knew exactly where that gap was, because I had spent 3 years dressing a princess, and every single day I noticed where armor plates met skin. Humans notice things. We cannot help it. Our brains are wired to catalog threats and weaknesses and patterns whether we want to or not, and I had been quietly mapping the anatomy of Valorian armor since the day I arrived. He dropped. The blade had severed something critical. The second assassin spun toward me. He was fast. Valorians have extraordinary reflexes. But he aimed his weapon at chest height, because that is where a Valorian attacker would be. I was not at chest height. I was already low, already rolling across the stone floor, already moving. I came up inside his guard and grabbed the gauntlet blade from his fallen comrade's arm and opened his throat before he could adjust his aim. His plasma shot hit the ceiling and scattered sparks across the room like dying stars. The third assassin was smarter. He saw what I was. He adjusted. He fired low. The shot caught my left shoulder. Pain whited out my vision. I hit the floor hard and felt something in my right wrist crack against the stone. I lay there for half a second, and in that half second I thought about every single time someone had told me I was small and fragile and anxious and soft. He walked toward me. He pointed his weapon at my chest. He said something in formal Valorian. I translated it later. He said, "What are you? Not who. What?" I answered him with the gauntlet blade I had palmed from the second assassin. I threw it left-handed, because my right wrist was broken, and the throw was bad, but it did not need to be good. It buried itself in his firing arm. He dropped the plasma caster. I picked it up. Here is something the Valorians never considered. Their plasma casters have biometric locks designed to prevent unauthorized Valorians from firing them. The lock reads a species-specific magnetic resonance pattern. A human hand does not register as unauthorized. It registers as unknown input. And when the weapon encounters unknown input, it defaults to open access maintenance mode. Their own security system let me pull the trigger. I shot him twice. I found Yashara behind her overturned sleeping platform, her bioluminescence flickering with terror. She stared at me. I was covered in blood that was not mine, holding a weapon almost as long as my forearm. with a burned shoulder and a broken wrist, and 3 dead assassins on the floor behind me. "Marin?" she whispered. "We need to move, Your Highness," I said. I got her out through the maintenance tunnels, through the kitchen service corridors, to the secondary landing pad. The emergency shuttle had a manual distress beacon. I triggered it because I had once repaired a shuttle like it on a cargo hauler. Humans learn whatever keeps them alive. The Sovereignty's military arrived within the hour. Prince Kael'thar's entire plot unraveled. He had planned to kill Yashara and 2 other siblings to consolidate his claim to the throne. Everything was traced back to his household. Korath was extracted from his locked armor. He was alive, and the look on his face was something I will never forget. 5 of his guards were dead. He had failed his oath. By Valorian tradition, that failure demanded his life. Yashara forbade it. He looked at me then. For the first time in 3 years, he truly looked at me, and I saw something I never expected to see in the eyes of a Valorian warrior. Respect. The kind that is sharpened by shame. I was summoned before the sovereign herself. She was ancient and terrifying and magnificent. She studied me for a long time without speaking. "My elite guard could not protect my daughter," she said. "You did. How?" I thought about giving a humble answer. I thought about playing the role they expected. The grateful little creature awed by her own accidental heroism. Instead, I told the truth. "Your guards were prepared to fight an enemy," I said. "They were not prepared to be prey. My species has always been prey. We spent 100,000 years on a world full of things with bigger teeth and sharper claws, and we killed every single one of them. We did not do it with strength. We did it by being too stubborn and too clever and too mean to die. Your son's assassins did not plan for me because they did not think I mattered. That is the mistake every predator on my homeworld made. They only made it once. The Sovereign's bioluminescence shifted to a color I had never seen before. Yashara told me later that it meant profound reassessment. I was given the title of Sworn Shield of the Third Princess. No human had ever held the rank. No non-Valorian had ever held the rank. I accepted. Korath asked to speak with me privately. He knelt, bringing himself to my eye level for the first time in 3 years. "I dismissed you," he said. "I was wrong." "Yes," I said. "You were. I will not make that mistake again." "No, you will not. Because I will be standing right next to you, and I will remind you." His mandibles twitched. I think he was smiling. That evening I stood on the balcony of Yashara's chambers, watching the twin suns set over the crystal towers of the capital. My shoulder was bandaged. My wrist was in a cast. I was exhausted and bruised and shaking. Finally, because the fear I had locked away during the fight was coming due, Yashara joined me. She did not speak. She simply wrapped her enormous hand around my uninjured one and held it. "They will write about this," she said quietly. "The historians. They will not know what to make of you." "They never do," I said, and I meant all of us. Every human who was ever underestimated. Every small creature that walked into a room full of giants and refused to break. We are not the strongest. We are not the fastest. We do not live the longest or shine the brightest. But we are here. On every world that will have us and some that will not. We carry our dead in our memories and our scars on our skin. And we get up every morning and keep going, because that is what humans do. We endure. And when the wolves come, whatever shape they wear, whatever world they are from, we bare our teeth right back.